Hey y'all, Coach Fight here. Happy Charnica, happy Feast of Dedication. Um, got somewhat of a special class here on the Feast of Dedication. I was working on a video. I've been working on one today on how today is actually the official day of Christmas. Now, um, I'm not gonna talk. That's not what the video is about, but just to give some people the chance to come in to this video and talk on that briefly. How today is actually Christmas, the first day of Chanukah, the ninth day of the 25th month. You can prove it or understand it by going back to the uh, book of Maccabees and how when it was first instituted, it was instituted as a response to Antiochus Epiphanes desecrating the temple with a pig. Thing about Antiochus Epiphanes, he was doing that in celebration of his God, his Roman God that they had been celebrating even back to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10. They were celebrating on that day, the 25th day of the ninth month. The thing about it, they wasn't on a Gregorian calendar like we are today, where people want to try to say December the 25th. That date didn't exist on the calendar. The holiday of Christmas did exist on the calendar, but December didn't. That didn't come into effect until the Gregorian calendar many years later. And so when you only consider our father's sacred calendar and don't take in consideration the Jewish calendar or the Christian calendar, which we call the Gregorian calendar, what you find is that today is still that same day that Antiochus Epiphanes was roasting a pig. He went in on this particular day because that's when they celebrated it. They didn't have any other calendar. Even the Julian calendar was based off the moon and all of that kind of stuff there. And so the 25th of the ninth month on the Julian calendar would have been right there close to, if not dead on, the ninth day of, or the 25th day of the ninth month on our sacred calendar. But anyway, that's what I was working on. I've been working on. But I had to stop that and I had to actually come over here and cook. I better show y'all this right quick before I get too far. Ta-da! Guess what that is, y'all? That there is supposed to be venison. It actually is venison from a deer we harvested a while back. I can't remember if it was one that the boys harvested or if it's one that I picked up off the road. It may be roadkill. I don't know. I don't think so. Actually, I'm being facetious. This was one of the bigger ones. I think this was the buck that Christian harvested. Praise the Lord. Or it may have been Will. But anyway, what I'm showing you here is how we have to remove the blood. Now, this venison is set in water for about 10 days as we aged it. We changed out the water over and over and until the water was clear, and then we continued to let the water stay in there until we thought it was aged. And then I put it in this pot and I got it up to about 160 degrees. And as you see, the blood is still coming out. All of that foam and froth is blood. And this is why we have to parboil our meat. Oh, I'm getting too far. Let me turn it off. Uh-oh. Don't never see that. Oh, I killed it. Anyway, it's burnt now. All right, let me fix this. I gotta fix this. I can talk y'all through it. What I have to do now, since I obviously got it up too high, let me squirt it with my thermometer. I'm really only supposed to go to 160 degrees, and that's what this video is about. How to cook meat without eating blood. Now, there's several ways to try to remove the blood, but what we're finding out here is that water alone just won't get it. Just sitting it in a pot of a cooler of water for about 10 days even will not remove the blood. And the proof is in the pudding. Okay, I'm up to about 150 150, 160. I'm writing about 165. That's what I see. So it didn't actually get to boiling, but it's good. And so what happens at that temperature, I'm mixing it, I'm equalizing the temperature now. What happens at that temperature is what's called denaturing. Let me show y'all a picture of this again. It's called denaturing. And denaturing, as in nature, you're taking the nature out of it, you're taking the blood out of it. That is the blood. Ain't that something? You can see it frothing around the pot and all of that. Just like the Bible says. I have to use my little dippy thing to get it out of there. Just like the Bible says, and leave the blood in the pot. But leave it behind. And then I can go ahead and season it and then put it on the grill or do whatever I want to do with it at that point, having gotten the blood out of the meat. You can obviously see that's blood. Look at that one right there. It's still pink. This ain't in the water. There's a lot of it too. And the reason, well, that's a lot of it because there's a lot of meat in that pot. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you guys. Some of you guys to this day don't like eating meat. You don't want to eat meat. And the reason why is your spirit itself is rejecting it. If you eat blood, that's actually one of the first transgressions that carries the death penalty. That one actually carries the death penalty to eat blood. And here in today's time, you know, a lot of times, especially when we go to the restaurants and such, we're not careful to remove the blood and we're eating with the blood. Well, just so you know, the prophecy is that if we're caught, and I say that word, you know, strategically because, you know, we ain't been held accountable yet. But there's coming a day when these wild animals are coming up out of the woods. And if we have blood in our system, that's who they're going to come to hunt us down. They're animals out in the woods that we ain't never seen before. Different kind of species out there, supposedly. Even a man-made species, no doubt, that is going to come out in the end times and is going to come and hunt those who have blood in their system, who have been eating blood. That's the punishment. You know, that's why people right now are enjoying steaks and having fun, and they, you know, down at the steakhouse talking about they wanted extra rare and extra bloody and all of that, and they ain't getting in no trouble. Well, that's because that day ain't came yet. When the wild animals is literally going to come out of the woods and hunt them down and try to, you know, eat them. They're going to eat them, according to the script. But anyway, that's all we're going to talk about today. We got Jalen Dawson. Says all praises to the Most High. We want to say hello, hey, happy Hanukkah to everybody, and Sabbath day preparation. Want to talk about that in this video as we prepare this meat, kind of doing a dual thing here, getting our videos out of the way for the week and getting ready to cook this meat and giving you a class on it. So we getting a lot done here. But we ain't gonna forget Chanukah, the Feast of Chanukah. Now, it's not really Hanukkah. We need to do get an understanding of the word. Come in. We need to get an understanding of the word difference between Chanukah and Hanukkah. Because it will be a significant difference. All right. Hey, Stacy, say hi to YouTube.
Hi, everybody.
We're in here talking about this. Come look. We're actually talking about this pot right here. Look. Come look. I forgot to show it to them so you can see. Look right here. I was telling them how important it is to parboil meat. This is venison, and we're parboiling it to get the blood out. Getting ready for Sabbath day preparation. I'm going to cook deer steaks tonight, and I wanted to make sure to get the blood out, and I wanted to show everybody how easy it is, but how significant it is. You was talking about how this one sat in the cooler for almost 10 days, right? Yeah. This is the one we aged in the cooler. And even after aging in the cooler for 10 days, you see how much blood is coming out. Now, what's happening here, y'all, is it's sitting in the water and it's actually cooking. I'm going to raise the temperature up again. I usually do it 3 times with the final temperature being 165 degrees. And then after that, I'll let it sit and, well, cook for a minute until this foam actually settles to the bottom and the water will clear up. Then I'll know that I've done, that I've gotten everything out of it. Now, how I know I haven't cooked it too much is you see how the oil hasn't started coming out yet. That's how I know I haven't overcooked it, because there's no oil. See it stay? See how you don't see too much oil? Yeah. The oil, like Dawn, it'll push everything out of the way. But anyway, so it's a cooking class. Cooking with Yahweh Shawana. We got Smith. Let me see if I can say his right. Therese. Smith Therese says vinegar helps. Let me put the vinegar in this thing. And he right. Where that? You see some vinegar? Apple cider vinegar. That'll work. Now, vinegar actually does help. Salt helps too. But I don't want to put any salt in it because that's going to come with the seasoning. But I am just going to add about quarter cup of vinegar in there because he's right. It does help. And it adds some flavor to the meat. People question, after you've removed all of the blood, is it still going to have flavor? Well, that's what the seasoning is for. Blood is not a seasoning. You don't want to season your food with blood. You don't want to think, if you remove the blood, it's not going to have any seasoning. If you're thinking like that, you probably already, got a problem. It's probably already something wrong in the thinking if you're thinking that, you need to eat blood for it to taste good. Anyway, so let me go ahead and get this one on up to temperature. Again, like I said, I do it 3 times because you need for the temperature to get down in the middle. But no, I'm actually saying 165, 170, 167 degrees. So let me check. I'm seeing 165 on my little thingamabob. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about. Hopefully I won't get in trouble, too much trouble. No. Uh-oh. I won't get in no trouble. So I'm looking at 163, 165. Y'all saw it. And so they'll sit there and cook at that temperature. Getting up to 160 is when venison denatures. And so the longer it sits there, the more them thick pieces are gonna denature all of the blood. I forgot the word they used to get all of the blood out. And so that's gonna sit there and cook until it's time to season it. And then when it's time to season it, I'll pull it out of the water. Actually, you have to take it out of the water. You can't pour the water off. This is important, y'all. When I get ready to take this out, I literally have to reach in here and pull it out. Now, I've done a lot of studies on this, and what's happening, because that oil is in there and the oil is coming out, the oil is actually going to rinse all of the blood off and leave it in the pot. That's what's going to leave the oil in the pot. The oil is going to be a separator so that there's oil on there, but there's no blood on there because blood and oil don't mix. Blood, water, oil don't mix. And so by pulling it out of the pot, you're sure to leave all of the bad stuff in the pot. Now, so, and for those who do hunting and may come up with, some food that's questionable, cooking it in this way is great, because if it's contaminated at all, like you're hunting deer and you may get hair on it, well, this is a way of washing. I consider this actually washing the meat. I know nobody want to hear that I'm actually washing the meat, but that's my form of washing it, because if it had any hair or blood or anything in it, when I pull it out of the pot, that's all that's going to stay in there. And then I'm going to pour that out on the ground just like water. But anyway, that's about that on that. Yeah, I knew that was Forte E. Appreciate the advice. You can tell us where he at. He's out there on the road. We got Royal Princess of the Most High Yah says, Shalom, coaching family, in the fight family. Happy Chanukah. Peace, love, and light. What? Chanukah? Uh-oh. She gonna give me a class in Hebrew. Is it Chanukah? Is it really have the TH at the end? Really? I'm gonna have to go look at that again. Oh, well, I got it right here. I could go pull up the old Porter here and see. That would be significant if it actually is. That's the reason why I'm gonna take the time and do it. And like I said, you know, I wanted to put out a video today, but you know, we got a lot of stuff going on. With Sabbath day preparation today, first day of Hanukkah is today. We're going in, sleeping in a tent outside today. So we got a lot going on today. So you guys can be a part of some of it. Let's see. The word is dedication. Dedication 2998. I don't see it. See, I don't know my Hebrew like that. That would be something if it was. Now, what that would mean is related to the covenant. And the thing about it, Chanukah, if that were the true word, where it actually had the TH at the end of it, like I said, it would be related to the covenant. And then, you know, we're in trouble. Because that feast is not actually inside of the covenant, like the Feast of Pentecost, the Feast of Weeks, the Feast of Booths, or the Feast of Tabernacle, and the Feast of Unleavened Bread are all in the covenant. The covenant, Exodus 23, no doubt. But this one is not. So if it actually had that on there, that TH would signify that it is a covenant hedge. In other words, if you didn't get inside of that Feast of Tabernacle of Chanukah, you would actually be breaking the covenant, and that would be substantial. Like the Sabbath has that in it, and so New Moon has that in it. TH at the end, meaning if you miss those, you kind of a little bit in trouble. Hanukkah, because it's not in a covenant, that one's not gonna fly too far. However, I don't want to marginalize the feast and say in no way is it true that we don't have to actually do the feast. We do need to, as much as possible. Even if you're out there driving your truck on the road, you kind of need to take the moment where you just tabernacle for a moment. Just get in a place and sit, read, pray, meditate, even if it's for a few minutes a day, for a few minutes a day, where you're spending that time. We've got a lot going on. I've been darting in and out of the tabernacle all day, getting prepared. Now I sit there for a few minutes and say a prayer or whatever and dart in and out. That's important because what's going on is we're actually having a spiritual communion with our forefathers. They're actually tabernacling with us. Hopefully we won't get to see them. But hopefully they're tabernacling with us. All right, let me show y'all this right quick. Again, this is a cooking class, y'all. We're starting to see now that the liquid is starting to clear up. The froth is starting to fall. You still don't see a lot of oil. You see some oil down there, those little round dots of oil. And so it's starting to lose its oil. And the thing about it, what happens is the oil pushes out the blood. That's why you get it up to 165. Because at 165, the oil starts to break down, and then when it comes out, it pushes all of the rest of the blood out, and then you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, again, this is a cooking class, y'all. I'm sorry for that. I'm knocking out 3 birds with 1 stone here. Sabbath day preparation. First day of Hanukkah, showing you guys how to cook some venison steaks and talking about Hebrew. Giving a class in Hebrew. What else? Anything else? Jack of all trades. We got. I'm skipping some here. We got K. Scott says, kind of far gone if you think blood is part of the seasoning in your cabinet. Yeah, you a little bit. Yeah, we got some. We gotta do some talking. Um, but you know, I don't want to laugh because there's a lot of people who do actually cook with those things. You see people cooking with the fat, the visceral fat. You know, that fat around the kidneys. You'll see on YouTube people who will take that fat and wrap sausages in it or something like that, or make kidney sausages out of that, or kidney blood sauces out of visceral fat. And it's like, y'all done gonna slam crazy, y'all. Trying y'all's best to offend the Most High for making kidney fat blood sausages, you know, out of pork. I ain't Leia says Shalom. Hello, Leia. Shalom. We got UGO3 Fact 3 Art says Shalom family. Appreciate you, family. And we got David Turner saying thumbs up. Appreciate all you guys stopping by. I know you are too busy with your Hanukkah celebration. If you want, you can share what you got going on for Hanukkah. If you got any questions about Hanukkah or anything like that. Again, this is the original day of Christmas, y'all. Those who are celebrating Christmas on December the 25th, they're only doing so because, you know, they're on the Gregorian calendar. And the Gregorian calendar is kind of a new thing. If you go back to the original calendar, the sacred calendar, today is today. The first day of Hanukkah is always the first day of Christmas. Write that down and meaning just an interesting thought. Just so you know, especially those who try to make that connection between Haggai 2 and, you know, the 24th day of the 9th month. Well, the first day of Hanukkah is always Christmas. It's always the same day, no matter where their December 25th falls at on the sacred calendar. Now, when they start talking about Hanukkah or Hanukkah, that right there at the beginning, like today is the first day, this is actually the true day. This is the pig sacrifice day. This is the day that they sacrificed that pig. And that was part of that study. If I ever get it out, it's real interesting because if you think about it, those who are forsaking the feast of Hanukkah or Hanukkah and during Christmas are actually celebrating the desecration of the temple. I mean, that's what's actually went on back there is he put another altar on top of our father's altar, talking about Antiochus Epiphanes, and then roasted a pig as a sacrifice to his God on his God's day, on his God's birthday, no doubt, which is the 25th day of the 9th month. And then as a response, our father instituted the feast of Hanukkah on that same day, the 25th day of the 9th month, as a celebration of the rededication of the temple that had been desecrated. And so you fast forward until 2025, and so what you have is the few people who are trying to get back into the laws, keeping Hanukkah or Hanukkah, trying to dedicate or rededicate their temple, but at the same time, you have those who are keeping Christmas and celebrating the desecration in the first place. Some of them with a pig or pork or ham, no doubt, on the same day, having a big pork fest on the same day that they desecrated the temple. So Christmas is the celebration of the desecration of the temple. Come on, y'all. Come on, really? I mean, intentionally trying to piss the father off. Celebrating Christmas with kidney blood sausages. What else you gonna do? Sacrifice your baby to the fire god? Anyway, we're gonna get on with the Feast of Dedication, y'all. We're gonna turn back on this music. We got some palm branches to walk around with. We got some joy. Get these deer steaks popping over here. Let's see, it changed since the last time you saw it. That's another thing. It seemed to kind of float a little bit. I done stirred it up and made the water milky and stuff. But hopefully you get to a point. It'll sit there long enough and the water will get kind of clearish. And then you know that all of the blood is out. And I'll take it out of that pot. I'll go ahead and show it to you. End of the cooking video. So it's almost finished. And so what I'll end up doing, get my thing in here. I'll end up taking it out of this pot and then letting it cool down. Okay, that's important to let it cool down, even if I have to put it in an ice water bath to let it cool down. Then pat it dry. Sometimes I just let the steam dry it. Just let it sit there. But it's important to let it dry because if you don't, it won't fry right. You have to dry it. And then you put your seasoning on it. And then you go ahead and do what you want. You could cook it. At this point, I can put it in stir fry. I can put it in pot roast. I don't know how to cook, y'all. But I can put it in, I can make steaks out of it. I can do whatever I want. I can make soup out of it and actually eat the soup part. See that part on the spoon? I can't eat that. If you remember in the Bible, when Abraham cooked for those angels, the angels told him to pour the broth out. That's the broth. That's blood. Broth and blood is never supposed to be eaten. You have to pour that out like water. That's why we go through this whole problem, is to get that broth out of there. And then after we do that, like I said, I can put this in a pot of soup with some, and then actually eat the soup part as long as I separate it. I just gotta completely separate it. Trying to get the best. Actually, I guess the big ones that went down to the bottom somewhere. But you actually got to separate it. And see, then, like I say, you can do whatever you want to do with it. Now, there's a couple of tests I do with it. I ain't going to do those on the thing. Well, I guess I will. Close it out. Let me show you. One test I do, I can't really show you that. That's a squeeze test. At this point, when I'm questioning if it's done or not, what I'll do is I'll squeeze it. And I'll go ahead and do that now. You can't see it because I don't want to show you all my fingers and nothing like that. I'm making these steaks. God made my fingers. I can't show you all my fingers. But I'll take it, and what I'm doing is just squeezing it to see if any redness. No redness. And see, what you want to do is get the biggest, thickest pieces in there. Them the ones that'll tell on you if it's done or not. You don't want to have too thick a piece in there, that's for sure. So you take a piece and you cut it. And then it looks like that. You don't have any blood in there. It's already cooked. It's not overdone. It's done. You can actually eat it now. It doesn't have any seasoning on it. And the Bible says you have to put seasoning on it. But it's done. It's like just ready to cook. I mean, ready to season and sear. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, y'all. Not for David Turner. He says the kosher part, when Jesus and the disciples had supper, they stopped, did the cleaning part, then came back and break bread. Yep. And so don't let anybody tell you that the Messiah didn't eat meat, and yet he would have went through the same process. Except on Passover. We never let it touch water on Passover. But anyway, we'll say that for another video. If you got anything out of this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. But leave us a comment down in the other section either way, so we can continue the discussion. If you got any more questions or anything, and I'll see you down there. Love you guys. Shalom.